Hello everyone. In this episode, I'm going to give you my spoiler-free review of the new movie Morbius. Jumping right in, I have to say it was too fast-paced. I try to find the good in every movie that I watch. And by no means am I saying that it is a horrible movie. I'm not as harsh as a lot of people have been about this movie. But right off the bat, I immediately knew it was just too fast-paced. And you can't blame the movie. It has been delayed for 2 years now? It had to readjust and shuffle things quite a bit, which means deleting a lot of things out and basically just pushing the movie out to try and make any money they possibly could at this point. And so things have changed quite a bit since then, especially with the release of No Way Home right before this film, and how it has changed a lot of things about the multiverse and really has set a new bar for comic book movies. And so I'm sure that it was longer before, but even if it wasn't, there's a lot of things that could have been fleshed out more and just given more time on. Throughout the movie, it just feels like you're kind of bouncing from one thing to the other a little too fast. You don't really get time to breathe. And with that said, you're left to assume quite a bit. Any relationships in the movie, you get maybe 5 minutes of screen time, and then it's about it. You kind of have to fill in the pieces on the rest of it and just kind of assume, which, I mean, yeah, we can do that. It's just nice to see things a little more fledged out so they make a bit more sense and you actually appreciate the characters more. And you can relate to them and why they feel the way that they do throughout the film. Even with the villain, I was a little confused on his motive originally. It took me a little bit to understand it. And so I found myself kind of zoning out of the movie a few times to try and piece things together that the movie could have easily explained itself, probably faster than it took for me to actually figure it out my own. And not every Sony villain has to have an anti-hero persona forced upon them, just like Venom. And throughout this movie, it's obvious that Jared Leto is playing this monstrous character. And so you're just waiting for him to let loose, and how cool that will be to see. But a lot of these scenes have been toned down and gotten this PG-13 rating and just really take a lot away from this character. I mean, both him and Venom are known for going out, say, on murderous sprees, which is what the fans expect. Not a watered-down PG-13 version where the fight scenes that should have blood splattering across the floor is, for some reason, just completely non-existent, and it doesn't make any real-world sense. And one of the things that make comic book movies great is some of the exaggeration, especially in fight scenes. And so to take a big piece of the fight away like that, it kind of sucks. Especially when the whole main character's shtick is about drinking blood and such. It just makes no sense on why we aren't seeing more blood throughout the film and why that's being censored when it's a monster movie and he's literally supposed to be drinking blood. It's just strange to me. On a brighter note, I really did enjoy the effects throughout this film. The CGI and everything was actually pretty good. It was very enjoyable to me to watch the colors and intense scenes, even though sometimes you have to watch very closely because, trust me when I say, when it comes to the fight scenes, you're going to miss a few things because of how fast it gets or how blurry it can get if you're not paying close attention. But if you are, it's really cool to see this character bounce around, use his super speed and such. Especially with the foggy color effects everywhere. The colors are just really cool. And the main villain, I have to say he definitely carries the film in the sense that you just enjoy every scene that he's in. And while his motives weren't all too clear to me at first, you do come to understand it once you think about it some more. And he just pretty much goes off the rails. And it's exactly what you'd expect to see from the beginning with Morbius, not the main villain. Like, you'd expect to see this monstrous character let loose, and yet the whole film is just about him trying not to let loose. Because again, he has to be some sort of anti-hero. And circling back to the problem of how fast-paced it was and things not making as much sense, the main relationship and the main love interest, I'll tell you right now, it doesn't get explained much. All you know is that they have been around one another for quite a while, and they just supposedly pick up feelings. Like, you don't feel for the romance. Pretty much don't even know where it came from. And so that causes some issues throughout the film the more you see them and the kind of emphasis the movie tries to put on them. It just puts it on them too late without explaining enough. However, the movie does have some really cool horror shots, which, if that was expanded upon as well, like it was originally supposed to, it would have helped the film out tremendously. I just feel like the tone was kind of all over the place. Like, it was going to be a horror movie, and then now it's going to be a comedy, and now it's going to be an anti-hero story, and then now it's just, it's just thrown all over the place as if it doesn't know what it wants to be. And in a way, I guess that leaves the door open for, if they do make a sequel, maybe they can land it a little bit better. But again, you can't judge it too harshly. It has been delayed for like 2 years and things have changed. And do not stay for the post-credit scenes if you don't want to. You can look them up online because you can tell it was very last minute. It was basically made just because of Spider-Man No Way Home. And it makes just about no sense as to why any of it happens in the first place, except for the fact that Sony just wants to create a larger villain-oriented universe to compete with the MCU and use them against whatever Spider-Man iteration they ultimately choose, which you still don't find out in this film. Supposedly, the director says that we will find out soon, but a lot of the Easter eggs and hidden things were taken out that we saw in the trailers, so things are still left a little blurry. All we know is that he's in the same universe as Venom. And looking back at the cops in the film, I realized that they provided basically nothing. They were comedic relief at times, but even their scenes weren't that funny. And it sucks because we see in the trailer that they had a lot more scenes and they were just all cut, and I don't know why. Whether that's going to be saved for a sequel or if they just wanted to make the movie shorter, like, I don't understand why those scenes were cut so much. But maybe we'll find out, who knows. And that was my spoiler-free review of the movie Morbius. I'm not saying it's an amazing movie. I'm not saying it's a horrible movie. I think it's worth going and judging it for yourself to form your own opinion. And I did enjoy watching it as a nice little film. If I were to rewatch it, it would probably be mainly because of the effects and the main villain. And that doesn't mean that the actors didn't do their jobs well, because Jared Leto was great. It was just the whole build-up of the movie, it just didn't land it. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts down below, because I'd love to hear them. And that's that. See ya.